And now we will learn one of the main security features in QuickBooks, Video 5, the Audit Trail. The audit trail is really the main security feature, and it's what accountants and business owners rely on the most to find out what really happened regarding their transactions and their events that relate to QuickBooks. It shows every transaction in the file, but it's sorted by transaction type. So it's not like the journal that it lists everything in order entered. The transactions are sorted by type, and then the types themselves are displayed in alphabetical order. For example, C comes before D in the alphabet. So checks are listed before deposits in the audit trail. That's the order that you will see in a moment. The audit trail shows every change to every transaction in the file. It shows the date and time of every change and who entered it and who changed it. From the main menu, click Reports, Accountant and Taxes, Audit Trail. Don't forget to make sure that the date range is all transactions regardless of date. Now, if you look on the left side, you see it lists all the checks, but if you scroll down, eventually it changes from check type of transaction to all of the credit card types of transactions, because CH comes before CR. If you keep scrolling down, you eventually get to the deposits and so on. So that is the understanding of how the audit trail organizes all the transactions in the file. Now I've scrolled back up to the check area, and let's take check number 2 as an example. Check number 2 right now is only across one line in the audit trail. That's because it was entered on June 29th and it has not been changed since. But look what happens when I change it. I'm going to double click, and what will I change? Well, the first change I'll make is I'll change 50 to 100. So I'm going to change the money amount first. And of course, today is July 6th at 3:24 p.m. And when I click Save and Close and click Yes, when I come back to the audit trail, I see here was the original entry of check number 2 right here on this line where it says prior. We kept the same date of the check, but this was the original date, June 29, when it was entered. Now notice, there's a second line regarding check number 2. July 6th at 3:24, it was modified by the administrator, and the change is whatever is in the thick black bold line. So the first line is the date and time of the original and what it originally was, and the second line for the same transaction shows whatever the change was, the date and time of the change, who changed it, and the bold is the thing that was changed. Now let's change it again and see what happens. When I double click, this time I'm going to change the payee from Chase Freedom to AT&T. And then I'm going to click Save and Close and click Yes. Now look at check number 2. There are 3 lines in the audit trail just for check number 2. The original entry, and then this was changed on July 6th at 3:24, and the money amount was changed, but now go up one line, and then it was changed again 2 minutes later on the same day, July 6th, but 3:25 p.m. And what was changed? The payee, because that's the thick black bold line. Let's change it a third time. Double click, and this time we will change the date of the check from July 21 to July 29. Save and close, yes. Now, in the audit trail for check number 2, there are 4 lines. The bottom here is the original date and time it was entered. Then the date and time it was first changed, and the money amount was the thing that was changed. Now you go up one line. This is the date and time of the second change and also who changed it. because I'm logged in as admin. And what was changed in the second change was the payee. Now look at the third change. Here's the date and time of the third change, and here's what was changed. The thick black bold will tell you that the third change was changing the date. So here we have this one transaction with these 4 lines, the original entry and each change. The date and time of each change, and the thick black bold line shows exactly what it was changed to. Students often ask, why do we need both the audit trail and the journal? Well, let's compare and contrast. The journal shows only transactions, whereas the audit trail shows transactions and other events. The other events that get recorded as part of your normal bookkeeping that the journal will not show are purchase orders, sales orders, and estimates. These are 3 things that we always document as part of our bookkeeping procedures in business, but they are not transactions and they will not show in the journal. However, entering any of these 3 or even changing them will show in the audit trail. So then you may well ask, what will not show in the audit trail? The 3 events that do not show up on the audit trail are time slips, time sheets, and vehicle mileage that you entered. So if you make a change to any of these 3 items or even enter them or delete them, there will be no evidence in the audit trail. The audit trail does have limitations. The audit trail does not show changes to list items. Changes to list items can be seen in the accountant's tool called the Client Data Review. Only the lists of accounts, which is the chart of accounts, and the items list will show changes in that Client Data Review tool. It will not show changes to customers or vendors. So if someone has permissions to access the customer and vendor area, you will not know what has been deleted or changed by either the Client Data Review or the audit trail. It will not show the date and time of the list change and who changed it. So for chart of accounts or items list, it will show a change, but it won't show the level of detail that's shown in the audit when the audit trail shows transaction changes. Only the accountant edition of QuickBooks has the Client Data Review. If you want to use the Client Data Review in another edition, you would need to be a QuickBooks Pro Advisor or have a QuickBooks Pro Advisor log into your account as the external accountant. Now let's take a look at the Client Data Review and what it will show. Because I'm in the Accountant's Edition, I can just click Accountant, Client Data Review, Client Data Review. Then click No for the prompt. Now I'm in this tool. Now this tool is mainly for accountants, but what I'm showing you here is the chart of accounts and the items lists are mentioned here in the Client Data Review, and you can see some of the changes. You can also see changes to fixed asset items and payroll items if those items apply to your business. But let's just take a look at these changes. Chart of accounts. Well, if you click any of those items, you'll get the window called Review List Changes, and all 4 things that are tracked as changes show up here. For example, if I click the chart of accounts, you can see that I recently added advertising expense. You can also see that payroll expense was changed from active status to inactive status. You can also see that an account called Opening Balance Equity was deleted. If I click the Items tab, you can see that a new item called Stuff was added to the items list since the last review. So this is a complex tool, and it will not show the date and time of the change and who changed it, but it will show the change to any of these list items. And finally, I should mention, QuickBooks desktop version has no activity log. So you cannot see who logged in and when, and you cannot see what reports were viewed by whom. If you wish to see anything that the audit trail or the client data review does not show, you could use a software that has something called an activity log. And I want to mention that QuickBooks Online has an activity log with much greater detail than the audit trail and the client data review. And there are other softwares besides QuickBooks that have an activity log that show these things, as well as more information about other things that the audit trail and the client data review does not show.